today we're going to be heading to the local Walmart neighborhood market. I'm going to kind of show you some things I buy on my keto diet. Now, most Walmarts will not allow you to film in store. I was a little paranoid I was going to get yelled at, but it was okay because I hid my camera. Now we have our first item, which is half and half mix, which will be used for taco salads later this week. Our next item is Applewood smoked bacon. Normally I get my bacon at Fresh Time, but I was at Walmart, so that's what I got. And now to pick up some hard salami. It's a good snack or just breakfast. And then we need some sour cream. I don't use this a lot, but it's really nice in the taco salads I'm planning on making. Had to pick up some shredded cheddar. I always have at least a couple bags of this in the house. It's good for adding to recipes and just eating on. Now I'm planning to do a more in-depth vlog about the keto diet in general. It's something I did start at the very end of March, early April. Since then I have lost almost 50 pounds. It's been really helpful. It's definitely something that I can see sticking with for the rest of my life, which is the important part. Now I'm getting some heavy whipping cream, which I use in my coffee most mornings, and also for a lot of the recipes that I make. And next up we have eggs, which I can do a couple dozen or more a week. It's really a good staple to have, so keeping them around the house is important. And now we've got ground turkey, which I'm using in the recipe that is in the rest of this vlog. Now, if you're not familiar with what a keto diet is, it's basically you want to be higher in fats, moderate in your proteins, and very low carb. There's basically avoiding sugars and things like that, anything that spikes your insulin to try to get into ketosis. And I also need to pick up aluminum foil. This is really great for cooking things like bacon because it makes the cleanup so much easier. And this is the part where I wandered around for like 10 minutes trying to find sun-dried tomatoes. I cut a lot of that footage out, but left a little bit in of me just wandering around the store. I did end up with jarred sun-dried tomatoes. It wasn't exactly what I wanted, but I was tired of looking and I could not find what I wanted. Keto diet in part was because I saw a new doctor and it was what he recommended, and so far it's working so well I just can't see doing anything else. Time to load up these groceries and head home. Got some other things to do today, including some cooking, which I'm going to also add to the rest of this vlog. Alright, now we're going to make turkey, feta, tomato meatballs. It's based on a recipe I found. I'll link that below. This is modified because I've gotten to the point where when I cook I'm just kind of winging it. So what I'm going to be using is this can of sun-dried, or jar I suppose, of sun-dried tomatoes. I kind of wanted the dry ones. This has Italian herbs in it too, but it was about all I could find when I was shopping. If you want to see nutrition label, there it is on the back. There is a little bit of carbs in this, but a little bit of carbs isn't terrible. It's going to be spread across a lot of meatballs, so it's not that big of a deal. I'm also going to be using a little bit of almond flour to kind of bind it together. We're going to be putting in 1 large egg, which I hope is enough. I debated 1 or 2, but I'm going to go ahead and just do the 1. And then the main part of that is, of course, ground turkey. I went with 85/15 for no real reason other than it's a little bit cheaper. I'm not actually even worried about fat content when I'm making things. In this case, I'm using turkey because the flavor is better for this type of meatball. I've tried it with beef, and it just didn't taste the same. So I think turkey is definitely the better choice for this, which is probably why that is what the recipe calls for. So I got this at Walmart, which you saw earlier. And lastly, which I've had in the fridge for a little bit, is some crumbled feta. This gives it, really nice flavor. This does have a little bit of potato starch in it, but I don't think that's too bad. I don't know if you can see the nutrition label very well in there, but this did come from Fresh Time, which is actually my favorite grocery store to go to. But a lot of times I'll go to there or Walmart. So let's go ahead and get this started. Alright, it's a very actually simple recipe because mostly you're just mixing and squishing. So the first ingredient to put in is going to be the ground turkey. And I don't really want the paper in there, so we'll take that out. Ugh, lots of paper. Ah, okay. Next up, we're going to put in some feta. Probably a lot of feta because I like cheese, so I'm going to dump the whole thing in there. Next, I do have the sun-dried tomatoes here, so we're going to kind of put some in there. I probably won't use the whole jar because that's a lot of tomatoes. I hope this works. You're really supposed to dice them, but again, I'm trying to make this quick and easy, and apparently a big, huge mess. So, I think that maybe just one more shake here. Hopefully they don't all come out. There we go. That looks good. Trying to do this one-handed while holding the camera because I apparently don't have a proper tripod right now. The one I have doesn't have an attachment that's correct for using my phone, and the one I have for my phone is very small. So we're going to do an egg next. See if I can do this. Apparently not. No eggshell, no eggshell. Okay, perfect. One egg. And now the part that I actually probably going to measure, although I normally don't. We're going to do the almond flour. I got that here. Alright, I'm going to go with first 1 tablespoon to see how that looks. It's not perfectly level because I'm doing this one-handed. So we'll get that in there. Alright, the next step does involve kind of squishing this all up and turning it into meatballs. Just real quick, I went and washed my hands, so now we got to do the squishing part. I'm going to try it one-handed. Every time I do this, I'm just reminded how cold that ground turkey is. So then you just kind of squish it around until everything is mixed. Now I do feel like I want to put the camera down to finish this, so again, I'll show you the next step here where we're getting ready for the oven. Oh, just as a heads up, I did preheat the oven to 400 for this. I cook everything at 400, probably not necessary, but it just seems easier to pick one number and stick with it. To kind of form the meatballs, I just started using this mini muffin pan. I did spray it with olive oil spray. You could do butter or bacon grease or whatever you want to do to grease it up. I don't know if it actually needs it, but I'm always afraid it's going to stick. So what I do is I take equivalent of how much I would have used for a meatball and kind of just push it down into the mini muffin tray. Alright, now to pop them into the oven, which desperately needs cleaned, but isn't going to happen today. I'll go ahead and slide that in. And through the magic of editing, you will see them cooked. Probably about 15-20 minutes maybe. I'll let you know for sure. Again, very winging these things. And boom, they're done. And they smell really good too. Can't wait to try these out. Like I said, I'll link to the recipe that these are based on down below in the description of the video. Enjoy! I don't have an outro. Should I have an outro? Maybe I should make an outro.